Hello and welcome to the pregame, a little short stop for the Pivot Podcast brought to you by the Pivot Podcast with Morgan Hendrix. I am your host, Morgan Hendrix. We're going to get it right into it today with a couple NBA topics, WNBA topics, NFL topics, and everything you can think about coming with you for sports. Today I'm joined by Evan Green and Tyreek. And we'll be right back in just a second, right after these quick messages.
Even though there is so much against us,
you will see me choose to protect myself and my community from the coronavirus by wearing a face covering.
Because it's going to take all of us thinking about one another.
And even with my face covered, you will see me.
You will see me as a mother, a wife, a friend.
As an athlete who gave everything to the game I love.
As a father, leading by example.
As a sister.
An entertainer.
As a champion for my people.
You will see me finding a light in a dark time.
To unlock our creativity and push our craft.
You will see me demanding the space to tell the stories that matter.
As a man who knows that tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Join us in wearing a face covering to help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because covering your face is one small act of kindness that has the power to bring us together.
All right, guys, and we are back. Again, this is the pregame. So today we're joined by Evan Green. Evan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Do we have to wear these?
You buy yourself. Take your mask off. You buy yourself.
Just making sure.
And we're also We're also joined by Mr. Tyreek Anderson. Tyreek, how you doing?
What's going on with y'all? How y'all doing? Yes, Lord.
Just out here. Well, we're gonna start it off with a couple NBA topics. I mean, the main thing being, first things first, the play-in tournament is getting a lot of criticism around here. As you kind of know, the Lakers have fallen to the 7th spot, so they're in the play-in. The play-in is a new concept that the NBA brought about this season after kind of a similar format was introduced last year with the stoppage for COVID. So what it is the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th seed of both conferences are going to be put into this mini kind of round robin tournament. Well, no, not round robin, a single elimination tournament where the 7th and 8th seed are going to play against each other for the 7th spot. And then the winner of that game goes on to play the winner of the 9th and 10th seed game. So the winner of the 9 and 10 game is going to go on to play the loser of the 7-8 game for the 8th seed. Just a quick visual you can see right here. Right now, the Lakers and Golden State are right here at the 7 and 8 spot for the West. So, that's going to be all cylinders go. And then of 9th and 10th, as of right now, are the Grizzlies and Spurs. And then in the East, we have Boston going against LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets in the East for the 7th and 8th spot. And then Indiana and Washington going against each other for the 9th and 10th. What do you guys kind of think about the NBA introducing this new format into the game?
So how was it before? I mean, why did they choose to change it? Because I mean, from seeing it how it was before, I didn't see no problem with changing it to a tournament style kind of play.
Well, it just kind of gives a new feel to the game. Of course, the NBA has been looking for kind of some new streams. For one, of revenue, of course, because business is first, but also to bring people in and to create more excitement around the game. Traditionally, before this season, it had been, you have the 1 through 8th seed, the number 1 seed plays the 8th seed, 2, 7, and so on and so forth. So kind of introducing this play-in tournament just kind of gives it a little more incentive to, get higher in the standings for one, and then, of course, do your thing. It's drawn criticism from players like LeBron James who called for whoever brought it up to be fired. So what do you guys think about this new format? Do you think it kind of adds to the competition aspect of the game or no?
I mean, the competition don't start in playoffs. The competition starts throughout the whole season. So honestly, if they don't want to be the 7th, 8th seed, like do better throughout the whole season. You know, I mean, it's basically easier said than done. But I'm just saying, like, I understand, like, it's like an incentive to be higher or whatever the case may be. But I mean, you have 70 plus games throughout the whole season to do what you need to do to tighten up to actually get to the higher spots. So I don't think that the competition starts throughout the playoffs. It should start throughout the season. So I mean.
The only thing with that is that, typically an NBA season is 82 games, right? So across 82 games, it's kind of hard to stay motivated for that long, especially when you may not be on the best of team or you're on one of those kind of mid-level teams where, you're trying to fight for those spots, but, injuries and things happen. As we've seen this season, there's been quite a few injuries. Right now, the Lakers are in this predicament because of the injuries to AD and LeBron, where they had to sit out extended amounts of time. And that doesn't even include, the COVID sit outs. So people having to sit out for health and safety protocols. Tyreek, what do you think about the play-in tournament?
Well, how I feel about it, honestly, I feel like it gives a lot of teams a chance to win in, like you got your lower level teams. Chris Paul just brought the Phoenix Suns back to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So feel like, at the end of the day, why are not lower level teams getting that chance to play in? LeBron at the beginning of the season was saying he thinks that there should be a play-in tournament. All of a sudden, now he's in a tournament. He go to Instagram talking about I think the people who set this up should be fired. Come on, LeBron. Like, you got to stick to what you said at the beginning, baby.
Right, gotta have some consistency.
Losing. AD with them back spasms. Need to get off that GTA, baby.
Well, and that brings up, the prime thing is that this situation is created for those mid-level teams that may have a hard time getting a playoff berth. So those 7 to 8 guys, even the 9 and 10 guys, that just kind of fall in that part of the bracket where it's like it's just kind of hard to break into the playoffs. This is kind of their opportunity to go ahead and, break on the scene. Nobody really predicted that the Lakers would slide this far back. Of course, we expected it this year with Golden State because, Clay is out. They've had injuries and things like that. And then the rest of their roster.
Let's get that man some praise. Let's get that man Steph. Let's stop right there. Get that man Steph some praise.
Let's do it because Steph has had a great season. He's had a record-breaking season. He's had just a crazy season, and of course, Steph has been one of my favorite players for way, way back. Don't even do that because
been idolizing Steph,
huh?
You've been out here idolizing Steph.
Shooter, shoot. So, I was out there. Yeah, I was out there shooting. So, I had to model my game after a shooter.
Go ahead, let them know your resume. I like it.
A little something.
I mean, kind of what you're talking about earlier. You were like, I guess the new playoff gives motivation. But I think we got to relax with the motivation and start just being more disciplined. Because motivation wears down. Just like you talked about, there's 80 plus games throughout an NBA season. If we're talking about being motivated throughout a whole NBA season, it's honestly not going to happen, to be straightforward. So, it's more than just that, but it's more just about being disciplined, like working on your craft every single day. Just like, Kobe, MJ, like those big names, they weren't motivated to go out there and make it happen. They were just disciplined at their craft. So it made them who they were, right? Like they didn't stop after basically one game win at the playoffs. They didn't stop after 2 games win at the playoff. They got to end of the road like 6-7 games, and they were just like, man, it's not over yet, right? We didn't win yet, so we can't smile now. We got to continue to be disciplined. So with the teams that need the motivation, I mean, cool, but it's the discipline is what creates it, and that starts from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely something you have to have that mental toughness, which is what a lot of, athletes talk about. Cause that middle of the season when stuff is getting rough and it's kind of, you getting into the routine and you're not really, excited about the start of the season anymore. It can get kind of tough to, be locked in, but this is what you are paid for. So it's kind of like you got to find a way to get it done.
Figure it out. Exactly. Figure it out.
Yeah. Just like you're talking about, man, we got to have that figured out mentality, especially within, like you talked about, like you know, you're going into it knowing, listen, this is an 80+ game NBA season. I know that every day is not going to be whatever. Life is going to happen. Injuries are going to happen. All this stuff is going to happen. So let me prepare now through the offseason to get my head. You can't go into battle trying to get your head right. You got to have your head right before the battle starts. You got to make that decision before it starts. Like, man, like, okay, let me, you know, work on this because everything is going to rise and fall here. Like if I have that mentality, if I have that discipline early, then it's not going to matter what happens with life. I'm going to be able to continue.
Don't get on your promotional speaker.
No, I'm just saying. It correlates. It goes hand in hand. But
I got you.
I digress.
No, you good. My boy felt that thing. He started preaching for a minute.
Real quick.
But you know, and it's easier said than done, especially when you're one of the top teams. Right now, Utah is in the number 1 spot, but they just got whooped by, who was it last night? They just took a loss last night. So, you know, it's those highs and lows. And of course, even with injuries, you know, you got to be locked in. Still in the realm of the NBA last night, Russell Westbrook broke the triple-double record previously set by Oscar Robertson. So, 182 triple-doubles. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yo, this man been in the league, I think 3 or 4 years less than Oscar, and Russ ain't even old, y'all. So this dude is nowhere near done putting these numbers up. He can double this. He could triple it, honestly. Like with the numbers he's putting up in Washington, he could. Think about it. You can argue with me, but
but then he gets to the point where you're like, what really matters? Because of course, right now he's with the Wizards. The Wizards are sitting at that 10 spot in the East. So what does it really mean to be putting up these numbers and not really getting the results in the win column? Because even though he broke that record last night, they lost to the Hawks by 1 point.
Yeah. But you know, and that's what I said. It's more of a personal thing. It's a win for Russ. It's not a win for the organization. You know what I'm saying? Like he's more so. I'm not saying he's focused on himself. Don't get me wrong. Don't know Russell Westbrook, so I don't want him coming at me on social media. But at the end of the day, like you're getting, you know, he's being a great asset to his team. You know, those triple doubles could help, let's say, for the Lakers, maybe not the Wizards. But with Russell Westbrook, you know, doing what he's doing this season, like it's amazing. Like nobody has ever came close to this feat in life. So I'm seeing this man pass somebody who we never thought was going to be passed. So, hey, you know, you got to give this man his credit. Give him a pat on the back.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah. Go ahead.
Russ has definitely been cutting up. I see him in a better headspace than he's been on, you know, OKC and the Rockets. I feel that he's playing with more confidence, like he's playing with more peace. I don't know. I guess it's just within his just demeanor. He's just playing with more peace, and I don't know who all is still on the Wizards. I obviously I know that
playing Washington like
Bill
that.
is Bill still on there?
Yep, Bradley Bill, who's having a great season himself.
So
I thought he just got injured.
He had, but up to this point, he still had a great season. I think he is still dealing with a hamstring injury right now, but he is having a tremendous season.
So who else?
But then going back to your point with the playing with peace, but does that just come from playing on a team that's not necessarily a contender? Because with Houston, you have all of this pressure to perform as an all-star. In Washington, he does have some of those same pressures, but at the same time, there's only so much you can expect from the Wizards, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, who else is on the Wizards other than, you know, Russ and Bill? If it ain't God, no. Just with
no, but they okay, this phone is crazy. They drafted Denny Advia in this past draft.
So I mean, it still boils down to.
But other than that, they don't really have any. They don't have any many recognizable names. I believe they drafted Cassius Stanley as well, out of Michigan State. But
the Wizards.
Yeah, but which he could potentially develop into a really good point guard for the Wizards eventually. But it's just when you have these two all-stars playing with a group of individuals where it's not a whole lot expected of them, at least right now, because they do have a lot of young guys. I just don't. I feel like it only matters so much.
That
of course it's a great feat, but it only matters so much.
I think that goes back to your point of for how long triple doubles when you're not getting to that that championship or whatever. I mean, if they ain't been a contender, they don't really. I mean, who knows in the future what the future will hold? But as of right now, man, get your triple doubles. Go out there and put up your numbers because you can only be in your prime for so long. Honestly, take advantage of your prime.
Is he still in his prime?
I don't know if he's. I mean, he out here putting up triple doubles. He's somewhere.
Well, and because that was a conversation being had about Russell Westbrook, which is part of the reason he was traded from Houston, which was he had this kind of not even a steady decline, kind of a fall off from his time in OKC. That last year in OKC, he had kind of fallen off. Of course, there was still some motivation there just because the heart that he has, after KD left, basically chasing that triple-double title then. And then, of course, getting the MVP that season. But his years in Houston, even this last year in Houston, during the bubble, he wasn't quite looking like himself, if that makes sense. Russ definitely had taken a toll or taken a kind of a drop-off with his success at the rim, and then was taking these weird shots from three where it was just like, why? When you have James Harden as your next in command, like why are you taking these shots? It just seemed like he wasn't just in the right headspace, but it just didn't seem like it was really looking up for Russ at one time.
That's pretty much what I was going to ask. Like, do you feel that had to do with his ability to play? Or did that have more to do with what was potentially going on behind the scenes? Because obviously we don't know kind of what's going on behind the scenes, the locker room talk and really just all that stuff like that. So with that being said, that could potentially when basically you're playing somewhere where you're not comfortable, it's a toxic environment. I don't know Houston's environment. I'm not saying it's toxic, but it could potentially be like a toxic environment. It's going to affect how you play. Right. Versus if basically you're in an organization where, think that things are running smoothly. It's more peace in a locker room. It's more of a camaraderie. You're going to play at a different level than you would in the basically in the other environment. So I don't think that his ability to play has gone down. I don't think that his prime has really gone down. It could have just as been just the environment that he was a part of that affected the way that he actually played. Does that make sense?
It does. But when you have kind of a more than like a 5% drop off in your field goal percentage, like within a year, it's kind of startling where it's just like, all right, you got to kind of look at this guy a little different and be like, is it still there? Of course, he's shown flashes and things like this. But again, like I said, he's not on a contender right now. So does it really matter?
I think it matters to him. It matters to his ability to still play. Like, obviously, it doesn't matter for his team to be like, championship, number one seed kind of thing. But with his ability to play, because, I don't know the percentages. I don't know if you do or not. But just looking at his time at the Rockets, right? And then looking at where he is now, do you think that his level of play has increased, or do you think that it is still the same as it was when he was with the Rockets?
Again, like I said, like Russ is one of those guys that has heart, so he can really go when he's motivated when he's really motivated in his mind, he can really go and he can really push himself there. At the same time, when it's not a season that has kind of those external motivations, I don't know that he can rise to the level of, Russ in the beginning of his career with OKC, and things like that. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come right back and continue this discussion right here on the pregame. And welcome back to the pregame with Morgan Hendrix. We're back with Evan Green and Tyreek Anderson, even though he shows Tyrone Jenkins. That's his alter ego, his first alter ego. Let's get into a little WNBA action. The ladies are coming into their season. Their season starts this Friday with some matchups between some heavy hitters. This season is the 25th anniversary of the inaugural season of the WNBA. So, we have some real, true hoopers in the WNBA with Asia Wilson and, bringing back the true ones, Diana Taurasi with the Phoenix Mercury, which your girl Skylar Diggins is on the Phoenix Mercury now. What do you guys think about the WNBA kind of getting some attention now that the NCAA women's tournament kind of got some hype this year? What do you guys think about that?
I think it's well deserved. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, they go through the same stuff that the NBA basically goes through, as far as like you're basically being paid to basically do a job, but obviously life still happens, injuries still happen. They're going through the same stuff that the NBA is pretty much going through. So I feel like it's well deserved. So kudos to the WNBA for getting their recognition, especially with their stances that they were taking through the tournament, and then obviously the mistreatment that they had through the tournament. So I'm proud that they're now getting the recognition that I feel that they deserve.
Tariq?
I'm loving the WNBA right now. I'm loving everything about it. I just saw that Gianna Bryant's birthday just passed, and they did the NBA to support the Mambacita hoodies and shirts and stuff. The NBA wore that. Just thinking back to, I think earlier in the year, maybe last year, the NBA was supportive, wearing the WNBA hoodies, giving them some exposure at the NBA, the brothers, sister thing, helping them out. So I think this is good for the WNBA. They got some nice girls coming out of college that's finna tear the WNBA up. I've been looking at some highlights, and I'm liking the number one pick out of Texas. She's nice. I'm liking her. She's finna be trouble. So that's who I'm looking out for this season. I got a couple people I'm looking out for. You know, I'm looking to see what Miss Cooper is going to do after dealing with Dwight Howard. You know, let's see what the spark. You know, let's see what's going on with that.
Well, yeah, like you brought up, Charlie Collier, #1 pick out of Texas. Crazy good player. And then of course, I was so disappointed with the ending of the UConn and Baylor women's game this year in the tournament, with the no call on Dejanay Carrington. But two of the top, players at Baylor, Dejanay Carrington and Dee Richards, drafted this year into the WNBA. Richards with the New York Liberty, and then Carrington with the Connecticut Sun, I think can be some really impact players in their respective places. These ladies, like you said, go through rigorous training and things like that. And a lot of them don't get the same credit that men in the NBA do, because people kind of think that women's sports is, for some reason, like subservient or whatever. And I'm not with it, because I played against some of these girls and I'm like there was a girl I played against in high school, Tiara McCowan, who is on the Indiana Fever right now. Like there's no stopping her. So to say that, the skill level and things like that aren't there, I think is kind of naive. But I do appreciate like you said, Tyreek, the attention that the NBA players have brought to the women's game. Now the next thing to do is to kind of combat that gender pay gap in sports, and then of course abroad. But that goes back to the conversation the press conference that Draymond Green had, where he made some kind of ill-advised comments about the WNBA, kind of suggesting that women haven't done enough to bring attention to the game in a way. I'm gonna get off of that, because that just wasn't he had me kind of hot with that one. Did y'all have any thoughts about Draymond's comments?
I honestly didn't see it, but I don't think they haven't done enough to shed light on it as far as the women players, because obviously, just like we know, a business is business. And as we know, it depends with the shades. I'm definitely going to talk about your high school basketball resume, because I'm definitely
my God.
I'm definitely interested to hear about that. But just like you talked about, like
hey, I was MVP 2013. Don't sleep.
Yeah. Hey, I like it. Hey, we here. Hooper. But just like we're talking about, man, like it's business, right? Business is business, and depending on how much capital you produce depends on, I think, that the payout. So I don't know. I'm not really educated on how much revenue the basically NBA is bringing in compared to how much revenue the WNBA is bringing in. So I don't know kind of how that breaks down, but I know that there's a big gap within the amounts of revenue that is coming in.
Well,
and
the main thing is the market shares that the NBA players get, as opposed to what the WNBA players get. Is like you said, it's a very big gap. It's a very big difference. But even beyond that, it's just got to be more done to
they got to advertise. I don't see a lot of advertisements with the WNBA. They're starting to do it more, but I haven't seen a ton of advertisement with the WNBA like basically they're doing the NBA. Like there's some females out there that's out there hooping. Like I'm just honest about it. Like some females be out here big hooping. So I mean, it doesn't have to do with their skill level, because the skill level is there. You basically see the skill level being there with high school, middle school through college or WNBA, whatever the case may be. The skill level is there. So it doesn't have to do with their skill level. I think that on the business standpoint of things, they got to, just like you're talking about, they got to open up the market share more. They got to do more marketing. They got to do more sponsors. They got to do a lot more in order to create more revenue so they can get paid more. That's what I feel.
Well, and I'll say, who do you think that responsibility is on? Because in Draymond Green's comments, what he was saying is that the players. Right. And he was saying that the players should hold these companies that say that they stand behind women accountable in backing up what they're saying, which is true. But for one, don't come how you came, because there's a way to say things, and that just wasn't it. Go ahead, Tyreek.
I will say, like, with a lot of beauty companies and makeup and skincare, and also dealing with just women hygiene in general, I'm wondering, why haven't these companies just partnered with these women in the WNBA? We see your commercials too. I don't use Pantene or any of that other stuff, but even if I'm saying it right, sorry ladies, but if, you know what I'm saying, if that's the case, if I was to see some more WNBA players like Skylar Diggins or anybody, put Brittany Griner on like a super sports commercial. You know what I'm saying? It don't have to be nothing super manly, but make it fit for her. I don't get that. I don't understand.
And I will say that there are a lot of brands that do sponsor the WNBA and things like that, and of course that's increasing every day. A lot of people look at the WNBA and say that they're this lesser league, when in reality they're just younger. The NBA has been around a lot longer than the WNBA. If you think about it, the WNBA is about as old as Evan. So, thinking about in that time, and especially assessing where the NBA was in its 25th year compared to where it is now, the WNBA has surpassed where they were at this point, and has the potential to be even bigger. Now, what I want to see for the WNBA, I need the Comets back in Houston, because I didn't get that experience of going to see the Houston Comets. No, not to hoop, not to hoop. No, that's gone. But I mean, I can still shoot now. I can still get out there, but the condition is a little. But we ain't gonna talk about that.
Injuries. That's all it was. Yeah. I was gonna say though, I understand from basically the business standpoint, right? When like you're doing commercials, you want to take advantage of what's hot. You want to take advantage of what's popular, which is obviously the NBA and so on and so forth. I get it. But I feel like a lot of companies just have to take that back road for right now, at least. I mean, they got a lot of capital coming in already. So it doesn't hurt to bring in a couple of WNBA players to advertise what they're doing, even if right now or whatever, the WNBA isn't that popular or whatever, or isn't bringing in that much capital. Some companies, I feel, have to take the back road to have partnerships with basically NBA players in order to create more market share. Because a lot of times if basically you say, I want to go to a basketball game, the first thought is not to go to a WNBA basketball game, because it's not everywhere. The NBA is everywhere. Like everywhere you look, it's everywhere. So the first thing that pops up is the NBA. The WNBA isn't everywhere. So it's like just letting the WNBA get more recognition to be bigger than what it is or what it has been as far as advertisement wise. I think that could potentially bring more capital to the WNBA.
Tyreek, you had a thought?
Well, I was just watching the I Am Athlete podcast with Brandon Marshall, Fred Taylor, or Channing and Ocho. So that's a funny broadcast. What Channing said was, Evan, you said area. Now, what Channing, now this is not me, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I said what? Channing area?
You said area, like it.
No, I think
you gotta upgrade your connection, big dog. We'll come back to the area.
Yeah, we'll come back to that point. I think we lost him. But yeah, I just think that it's a matter of really exposing the league, because if you look at it, NBA League Pass, even that way, like they're promoted, the cost of it is even higher than it is for the WNBA League Pass, things like that. There is definitely some work to be done, but to say that it's on these women and acting like they haven't done anything up to this point is just ridiculous and just kind of unfounded. Let's take a quick break. We'll see if we can get Tyreek back, and then we'll bring you more with the pregame, brought to you by the Pivot Podcast. We'll be right back.
Even though there is so much against us,
you will see me choose to protect myself and my community from the coronavirus by wearing a face covering.
because it's going to take all of us thinking about one another.
And even with my face covered, you will see me.
You will see me as a mother, a wife, a friend.
As an athlete who gave everything to the game I love.
As a father, leading by example.
As a sister.
An entertainer.
As a champion for my people.
You will see me finding a light in a dark time.
To unlock our creativity and push our craft.
You will see me demanding the space to tell the stories that matter.
As a man who knows that tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Join us in wearing a face covering to help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because covering your face is one small act of kindness that has the power to bring us together.
All right, and we're right back with the pregame brought to you by the Pivot Podcast. So we haven't got Tyreek back. Oh, hey, cover your face.
I feel like every time I see that commercial, I have to throw in a mask. Be honest with you.
Hey, be safe out there because it's still crazy. So right before we wrap up, just getting into some NFL news. Of course, the main thing has been the headline around Aaron Rodgers. The draft happened last week, where we saw, of course, kind of the assumed number one pick, Trevor Lawrence, go number one to the Jags. And of course, kind of a controversy between the number 3 pick taken by San Francisco and Trey Lance. But right now, the biggest thing in the news with the NFL season coming up is Aaron Rodgers wanting out of Green Bay. So he's made this demand mainly because he doesn't have. Right now what he has is what they would call a lame duck contract, where you've got the last year of your deal right now, and you don't have a long-term deal going forward yet. So he just kind of wants that security. What do you think about Aaron Rodgers wanting out of Green Bay, and where would you like to see him go if he is able to leverage himself out of Green Bay?
Well, starting off with the contract, I mean, security is a must, right? Because obviously if you're putting your life on the line and there's no security, it comes to a point like, okay, they could let me go, and I don't know how much of a hit my finances are going to take. So I can understand him wanting to have a security blanket as far as contract, being there. And I think he deserves it. Aaron Rodgers has put up numbers for Green Bay over the past couple of years. So I think that he deserves to get an extension or a new contract or whatever that provides him the security. I think that he has proven himself worthy of that. Now, as far as where I want to see him go, I'm not too sure, because I feel like Aaron Rodgers could fit into wherever he needs to fit into. I think that he's just that versatile, right? So I don't know as far as where I would like to see him go, because I think that he can just fit in just with any team that actually takes him up or basically picks him up.
Yeah, I get that. It's kind of a tricky situation because he has some leverage because he's Aaron Rodgers. Like you said, he's put up, great numbers for Green Bay, gave him the chip back in 2008, I believe. So, this has been their quarterback for years now. Now, at one point, I believe it was in the 2018 season, you saw that he as well had a bit of a drop off in his production for the team. And then, of course, when they went and drafted a QB in the following year in Jordan Love in the first round, that's when he was like, "Oh, okay, well, y'all not about to, replace me like y'all did with me and Brett Favre." It's a tricky situation because I think for both parties, the best situation for them is for him to stay in Green Bay. But of course, he only has so much leverage right now because, you still have this year of your contract. They can still keep you there if they want to. And then, of course, offer you a contract later on in the year, which I believe, as a report as of yesterday, he has been offered a long-term extension with the team. And then, of course, then that makes you think, where does that leave Jordan Love, the backup QB, who L. Duncan made a great point yesterday on Highly Questionable. He hadn't even suited up last year at all for Green Bay. So, like, had he needed to go in as even a backup, had Aaron Rodgers gotten injured, he wouldn't have even been able to do that. I just think it's a precarious situation. But as for right now, I don't think anything is really going to move the needle on that. So I do think that Aaron Rodgers is going to probably end up staying in Green Bay.
So do you think that his production is not there anymore?
I wouldn't say that, because he definitely he was the MVP. Like he's an MVP. Like, you know, there's only so much you can say about that. He definitely produced this past year. You can argue that. What I argue is that, you know, they should have won against the 49ers in that Super Bowl. But yeah. Yeah, it's just tricky. It's just tricky. I think that the best situation for them is for both parties, meaning Rodgers and the front office, is for them to stay there, for him to stay there. Because I don't think you're going to be able to. Otherwise, you would go into a rebuild situation with Jordan Love as your QB. So yeah.
Well, I feel with just talking about Jordan Love, just with him being, just that backup quarterback, really just an understudy of Aaron Rodgers, which is a great quarterback. I think that no matter if he suits up or not, like right now, he should be in the learning mode, because
you can't learn if you don't get no reps.
Right, but you can't learn like for life. Like you can't like be on the bench for life type of thing. Like obviously you want to get to a point where you're basically in the game, but I feel like that time is going to come. But I feel like as of right now, he needs to be in that learning mode, understanding the mentality of a higher level game, because it's a difference coming from college to NFL, and you're under a quarterback that's been in the game for I don't know how long, and
he's been one of the greats. Yeah,
one of the greats. So I will be an understudy and just take my time when it comes, because if God forbid Aaron Rodgers get injured, boom, you're mentally already there. You've already been picturing this. You've already been studying. You already been learning. So now when that comes, now you're in the game. And I feel like with basically being an understudy, it breeds about a sense of humility, right? Versus somebody coming from college straight to football, starting whatever. Like not saying that everybody that comes in is cocky or not humble. I'm just saying with Jordan Love's situation, I don't know him personally, but I feel with just being an understudy, it could breed about a sense of humility to a point where when he does start, he's just going to take more advantage of it, right? Because it's like, man, I've been working for this. I've been about his grinding. I've been studying. I've been putting in work behind closed doors. Now the lights are on. Now it's my time to take advantage. And I feel like he's going to appreciate it that much more.
I get that. And then, of course, there is the other aspect that Jordan Love would be the first starting quarterback ever that has been a black man for Green Bay, which is a significant thing. But at this point, it's about whether or not, Aaron Rodgers will stay and what they would even be able to get back for Rodgers. Because right now is not any benefit for the front office to give Rodgers up. Before we go, do you have any graduation is coming up? I'll be graduating on the 15th. Woo, I'm walking. You as a PV alumni, do you have any advice for any graduating seniors?
Honestly, just for anybody that's graduating, I need for you to understand that the learning and the education is not over, right? Just because you got a piece of paper, just because you got a diploma, your education is not over. That's when it just begins. If basically I'm being honest with you, that's when your education should ramp up to a next level. I'm not talking about textbooks or whatever the case may be. I'm talking about personal development, right? Because with any field that you go in, with just life in general, you need these 6 inches to be on point. Because literally your finances, your relationships, anything in your life is a byproduct or a result of where you are mentally. And I feel that with you graduating, with anybody that's actually graduating, the first things first is to continue to keep your personal development at 100, right? Because again, whether we like it or not, life is going to happen, right? We can't do nothing about it. Control the controllables, right? With the things with the things that's outside of your control, give it to God, man. Like, don't worry about it. Control the things that you can control. And that goes with the way you think, right? Because the way you think controls your emotions and so on and so forth. So controlling how you think and working on your personal development as life goes on is going to set you higher than a lot of people, because a lot of people can be so smart with what's on a resume. But to me, it's not really about that. It's about just you as a human being, about where you are mentally, about what you speak in your life. And that comes as a byproduct of literally what you're putting in. Like, basically invest in yourself and invest in personal development books, relationship books, invest in you, understand who you are, understand your values, understand what basically your likes, dislikes, like understand what your name means, right? Because only when you understand who you are and what you mean, that's when you can really add value to somebody else, because you can't give what you don't have. Yes, right. So it's about really just advice for after graduation or basically graduating seniors. Invest in you, invest to become a new level of you, because with any new level of life that you go in, it's going to require a new level of you. Now, it basically, you're the one that's like, oh, I don't like reading. I don't like this. I don't like that. Nobody said you have to like it, right? But the result, your basically return on investment, is going to far outweigh the little uncomfortable of me not like reading. Okay, so go out there, man, like and basically invest in yourself, invest in books, invest in you just increasing to that next level, because your basically your spouse, your basically future kids are going to love it, because when that day comes, you're going to be where you should be mentally, right? So that's my parting words of advice for life after graduation. So
that's great advice. That's great. Look, is this a hint? Y'all got something to tell us? Y'all pregnant?
Yep, far from it. Far from it. Hey, listen, we got some stuff to knock out first before we go nowhere. So
I understand.
But I definitely appreciate you though for allowing me and Tariq to actually play a part in really just in basically your podcast. It meant a lot to us just to really get that basically invitation. So we definitely cleared the schedule so we can be on your podcast with you and watch your development, watch your growth, and be a part of your journey, because this right here is just the beginning. I need you to understand, Morgan, that this is just the beginning. This right here is going to be a stepping stone to where you're going to be, and it's going to allow you to get uncomfortable enough to grow and create what you need to create and impact who you need to impact. So do what you can, control the controllables, and obviously let us know if we can do anything for you. Seriously.
I appreciate that. You know, that's big bro right there. I appreciate that for real.
Don't cry.
I'm not.
I know. We don't cry.
No, but I've learned a lot about myself first and foremost. But I've learned a lot of just being here at PV. Of course, working and going to school kind of built, broke me of some old habits and, procrastination and things like that, but also propel me forward in what I'm want to do in the future, which is things like this, content creation, things like that. So I really appreciate you guys being a part of this and being so willing to, feed into what I want to do. And hopefully, we keep the circle going. We help each other out on things like that. And I really appreciate you guys being here today. Yeah. So
if I can say one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's something that you just said that really just brought it to me. Like, number one, just with people in general, life after graduation, grow a backbone. Like the world doesn't care about your emotions. The world doesn't care about your life, whatever the case may be. Grow a backbone. Go out there and get after it. Don't never let nobody else put their limitations on you. Why? Because God didn't give them your vision. He gave you your vision. So the people that's saying that you can't do it, or it's far outstretched, or you're this, you're that, you're not going to be able to achieve that. No, don't worry about that. Go out there and get after it, right? Because I've never met a successful person that actually quit. I never met a successful person that folded because somebody else told them what they could or could not do. Yeah. Right? Go out there, man, and just get after it, man. Block all that negativity out. Stop speaking negative into your life. Start speaking positive. Speak things that you want to happen, not the things that you don't want to happen, right? And basically the next thing is this. Live life a few generations ahead. Don't settle, right? Because you see a lot of people that's just comfortable. I mean, it's cool if basically you want to be comfortable, right? But if basically you want to be the one that literally creates a generational pool, creates a generational change, you change your family legacy. You make your last name mean something. You don't have to be confined by the curses of your family lineage. Change it, right? At any point in your life, you can draw a line in the concrete and move forward. Don't be out here letting your family history basically on you or basically depict who you're going to be. No, man, you can draw a line in the sand or concrete because you can always really just erase the line in the sand, but draw a line in the concrete and move forward, man. But again, that's only going to happen if this moves, if this right here moves forward. So continue to basically grow backbone, be positive, personal develop, and really live for a couple of generations ahead, because you may not live to see your change, but the impact that you're going to make is going to be is really just going to far outweigh you, and it's going to create literally a slippery slope. It's going to create a dynamic change. So ride the wave and make it happen.
Thank you so much for those words of wisdom, for real. I appreciate that, and I know that our viewers do as well. We're definitely going to have you back on the show here pretty soon, so keep a lookout for that. Thank you, Evan. Everybody, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll close out the show in just a second.
Traditions are not made overnight. They are created through a legacy of excellence and a commitment to something much greater. For more than 135 years, Prairie View A&M University has provided students with a strong academic foundation, a unique college experience, and the opportunity to make their mark on the world. This is a place where friendships are formed, discoveries are made, and dreams are realized. This is Prairie View A&M University. Our tradition, your opportunity.
All right, guys. Once again, I want to say thank you to my special guests, Evan Green and Tyreek Anderson. A special thank you to Professor TDV, Teresa Dalves, and all of the PV-TV family. We thank you for having us here. See y'all next time. I've been Morgan Hendrix.